We talk about more than 40% of the terrestrial surface of the Earth that is in one way or the other affected by land degradation processes or by desertic climatic conditions. And we are talking about 1/3 of the world population living in these areas altogether.
Christian Mersmann, I mean, looking at it on a continent-wide level, I mean, is this something which by and large affects Africa more than anywhere else? I mean, what about Latin America, Asia?
No, I don't think so. In Africa, we certainly see drought crisis in many parts. However, if we define desertification a little bit more broadly, as Martin has done it, as the degradation of natural resources, including biodiversity, then I think we can see all over the world, not only in those areas where we find real deserts in the true sense, but we find degradation. And we know the Haiti, the crisis in Haiti, but we also know that desertification, for example, in northern Brazil is very severe.
Sunita, Narain, I mean, if you had to put your finger on the sort of main cause of land degradation, desertification, what from your perspective would you say it is?
It is really an issue about parts of the world which were extremely rich in ways of managing the desert. People who understood how to live with water scarcity, people who valued every drop of water, who understood what biodiversity was needed, a lifestyle which was built on land being fragile and being scarce in resources. And that what you have seen over the last many years is that these people have not been able to manage their lifestyle because of the fact that they have lost control more and more over taking decisions about what they can do on a daily basis. And
that's the local. To whom?
Well, that's really to governments at one level, to central government at one level. The policies the central government makes, which is to decide about what will happen about land, who will control water, what kind of systems will manage land and water use in these local environments, but more than that, really losing control to global processes.
That's a cop-out though, isn't it really? I mean, really, can you blame the problems of farmers in the developing world and lay it at the door of the US, farmers in the European Union? I mean, can you really do that?
Most of the African countries did inherit policies from colonial systems. And they could not change these policies. And that is a problem because they keep training people to do forestry, they keep training people to do, they keep training vets, agricultural specialists, but they have not been training people that are specialized, for example, in pastoralism as a mode of use of natural resources. And these are arid lands that are more suitable for pastoralism than for agriculture.
So you're blaming the colonial inheritance. Sunita Narain is blaming the international trade system. Let me try you then, Fatima Jibrell. To what extent can you blame the failure of domestic governments? I mean, it seems like, that the problems of, it's true, small-scale farmers is what you have by and large in the developing world, and they do suffer. But can you honestly say that desertification and drought is the fault of the rich world?
Let me tell you, Somalia is probably the only country or one of the few countries that its economy is based on pastoral systems. We produce livestock and we do produce Arabic gum, frankincense, by pastoralists, and we shipped it to the Arab world, which is the other side of the Red Sea.
So trade is benefiting you in Somalia?
Was benefiting before. There was a system. Now the Arab world is connected to the Western rich world, and they have become more or less rich countries too. Now they don't want to buy our livestock. They want to buy from Australia or New Zealand or places that they can deal with them in the modern ways.
So you also blame the international trade system then?
Yes.
But then let me ask you then, looking at it in a very specific way, you have a problem with people cutting down firewood in Somalia to make charcoal out of it, and some of it has been exported. How do those people who go and take their axe and chop that firewood, how can you ascribe their actions to the global trade system?
I'll tell you, first of all, I'm not defending them. However, they are those people who are dying at seas, coming on ships to try to join the West or the Arab world to get closest to the richness. And those who are chopping for desperation. There is probably 99% in Somalia unemployment. There's no country like that. So people are so desperate that they are pushed against the wall to do anything.
All right.
Now, Arabia is buying our charcoal too.
You've managed to get a ban on exports of charcoal.
They banned the livestock.
Somalia.
They don't want the livestock, but they are buying the trees that the livestock was dependent on.
Right.
Think about that logic.
Mersmann.
Now give me a chance to blame somebody, okay?
Yeah, good. I was. You've all been doing that.
I would really like to blame us. I would like to blame us a little bit.
Who's us, by the way? Who's us?
Well, it's
the rich world,
those. No. It's all together. It's the international community at large. This includes IUCN. It includes others. We all work very hard towards sustainable development. We work very hard towards halting deserts. Getting land degradation halted. But we didn't form yet the critical mass to be at the national level convincing, at the international level convincing, and what we haven't achieved is get all those multilateral environmental agreements really work together, and that's climate change, that's biodiversity, and that's desertification.
Of course, desertification is a problem, but we should not continue lamenting about arid lands as if they were hopeless lands. These are lands that are very rich and people can live there and be happy to live there. What is needed to me is that we change policies so that we try to develop crops or productions that are adapted to these lands. The problem, I was not blaming actually the colonial system, although I should be doing that, but I was blaming...
40 years after they all packed their bags and went?
I was blaming the national policies that have not been able to change from what they inherited from the colonial system. It is time for these countries to know that they should be investing in what nature can produce.
But surely, Sunita Narain, you mentioned the international system. I mean, it's a very tragic thing that's going on in India at the moment. You have perhaps, 20,000 farmers committing suicide annually in India because they can't make a living from the land. No. I mean, who is responsible for that? Surely there's wealth in India. We know there is. Your economy is booming.
Absolutely.
It's your government's responsibility to make sure that you farm your land properly.
Can you imagine people desperate enough to take their lives because they can't make ends meet? And that's what they're doing in India. But let's take a look. Why is it happening? It's happening because these are largely cotton farmers. These are farmers whose input costs are going up. And the input costs are going up because one of the big issues is water is getting more and more scarce. They have invested in groundwater, into digging a well, and the water table is declining, and they are not able to invest further into either digging new wells or investing in the expensive seeds. And as a result of it, their costs are rising. And I think that's where the issue really is of domestic and international policy, where the costs are rising, but because of the United States subsidizing, in a most shameless manner, 20,000 cotton farmers from Texas and other states of the United States to a level of about $3 billion a year, the price is distorted in the global market.
We'll leave our discussions there for a moment. So we've told you about the nature of the threat and given you some of the causes of desertification and drought. Now, let's just get an idea of the kind of impact on both humans and the environment in this short film.
Currently, Jordan utilizes about 65% of its precious water resources for agricultural use. And I don't think a country like Jordan, with this level of scarcity, can afford any more spending that amount of water for agriculture.
The water dries up. Here there is only water in the winter. In summer, not a drop. You need a well and money. But I have no money, so there you are. There's no well.
These eastern arc forests are home to over 2,000 plant species, of which at least 800 are believed to be endemic. If we lose these forests, we lose those species. Biodiversity loss is irreversible. Those species will never come back.
My uncle is very old man. His wisdom will die with him. His desert is being destroyed by four-wheel drive vehicles through many rallies in Sahara. My question to panelists what are you proposing to save the last nomad's knowledge?